Hello，大家好好。如果你哋睇到我哋嘅，你其實可以喺個 message 或者個 message box 度話俾我哋聽，你哋見到我哋。我哋等多一陣，我哋就會開始。而家我哋想等多少少朋友 join in，咁我哋就開始㗎啦。Thank you. We'll be conducting this webinar in English today, so I don't know why I started with Chinese, sorry. We shall start in about 5 to 10 minutes. We are still waiting for a bit more audience to join. Today we'll be talking about crypto and ladies in crypto. So if you have any questions, feel free to type it into the question box, which is on the right-hand side of your screen. And we will have our team register your questions and we'll give you the answer later. So for now, ladies, feel free to chit chat for a bit. We will start in 5 minutes.
Okay. I've never done this before. This is very exciting. Not live anyway. Yeah. Oh, just for the audience that's already online with us, we've got Natalie Lau and Yvette Kong with us today. For the first of our Crypto Women Trailblazers webinar series. Today is going to be a Crypto 101. It is for beginners, and for those of you who know a little bit more, maybe you can throw some more deeper questions at our expert Natalie today. Just for your information, Natalie and I are in Hong Kong. Yvette, on the other hand, is somewhere in a beautiful mountain in Europe. So it's morning for her, but it's great to have everybody today.
Yeah, thank you, Jessica. I'm very excited to be in this panel. Heads up, I do know nothing about crypto, so I'm very excited to shoot a bunch of questions to Natalie and see how to handle it.
I'll do my best. I think here in the crypto industry, it would be great if we can have more women. It's traditionally a very male-dominated space, but I think, in order for the industry to grow in a healthy way, there needs to be diversity. We need to have more women. Women carries, a lot of strength, in their own ways. And for the long-term development of the industry as a whole, I'm very excited that this event empowers women, and I'm also very looking forward to it.
I'm just going to deal with the technical issue. I will be back in a minute, I hope.
Okay, I'm back since just to deal with technical issues. Today is our first time working on a new platform called EventX. So hopefully we'll have not so much hiccup, but please bear with us if we do. Instead of just going with Zoom or Clubhouse, what recently we have tried on, we want to try a new platform, which at the end of this webinar, there will be a networking lounge. We have 3 different tables, or we can call it rooms, hosted by Jessica, Natalie, and Yvette. So if you guys have any questions that you want to speak with them, please stay behind afterwards, and they will be at their table speaking to you personally. Do be reminded that there is no virtual background for the networking lounge. So if you want to have a better background or clearer background, please do so before you switch on your camera during the networking lounge. We shall be starting in, we do have a lot of people, we have a lot of friends in there right now, but we can still wait for another 5 minutes. We are still on a pretty new platform, at least to us. Actually, this platform has been, the marketing people have been using it for quite a few years, and actually they're actually pretty good for doing expos, but just webinar, we are still testing this. So if you guys have any question, please, again, there is the submit a question box on your bottom right hand corner. Just submit the questions and we will go through it. And if anybody wants to speak up, there are also a raise your hand button. Just let us know, we will accept you and we can be speaking with you in person and with everybody on screen here. Today, our webinar will last for about an hour or so. Depends on how chatty we get. Hopefully, we'll be ending around 5-ish, before 6, so everybody can go home and have dinner. So maybe we can start. Actually, I think we can start now. Shall we, ladies? Ready?
Okay, we're good to go?
Yeah, we're good to go. Okay, welcome again. I'm Kelvin. I'm the marketing head of South China Media, also a co-founder of JES Network. Today, we have 3 ladies here with us. Ms. Jessica Ng, who is the founder of JES Network, and you see her name on the magazine. And we have Natalie Lau. I will let her introduce herself later. And we also have Yvette here with us. We are talking about Crypto 101 and Women in Crypto. I am the MC today. We have our moderator, Jessica. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to raise your hand or type in the question box. We have 4 sessions today. The first section will be introduction, and then we have more in-depth talk about crypto, and then we come to how you start in the crypto industry, and then we come to Q&A. I will make a reset of the room or recap of in between sessions. So if you guys have anything, please do let us know, and be reminded that there is a networking lounge after this. If you look at the top of your screen, between lobby and webinar, there is a networking lounge button. When you are done with when we're done with the webinar, please click on the webinar networking lounge button and join us at the table. So I'm going to hand over to Jessica now.
Hi, everybody. It's good afternoon from Hong Kong. Good morning from where Yvette is in Switzerland. I'm really happy today to have our 2 speakers with us, Natalie and Yvette. Natalie will be in this conversation during this webinar. She will be the expert in the crypto sphere and blockchain sector, whereas Yvette and I think I'm a little further along in the learning process. Yvette is a self-declared newbie, but eager to learn and eager to know more. So perhaps Natalie, we could just perhaps you could introduce yourself and let us know a little bit about your background and how you started in the blockchain crypto sphere sector. Thank you.
Sure. Yeah, thank you, Jessica. So, and thank you all for joining today. So my name is Natalie. I am the head of sales at Ascent Fund Services. So basically what I do is I set up crypto funds. I guide them through the whole process, including how they are being set up from an operations standpoint, how they do the valuation, how do they do the KYC, AML, compliance, how many share classes they need, how do they structure the performance fee, the management fee. So the crypto funds that I set up, they can be a Cayman fund, a BVI fund, Singapore VCC fund, Hong Kong LPF, Hong Kong OFC structure, the US limited partnership fund. And also, they come in different range, such as different strategy as well, such as, you get some crypto high frequency trading funds, crypto arbitrage funds, crypto algo funds. Sometimes you get the PEVC closed-ended funds, such as, funds that invest in SAFT, SAFEs, that buy and hold tokens. There's also index fund, there's NFT funds, there are mining funds. So there's a whole different range of crypto funds, hybrid funds. So my clients would be institutional clients. I got into this space back then in 2016, 2017, because how I got into the space was that some of my clients are actually crypto firms during that time. So they, their exchanges, they are, they are OTC desk. And in order to service them well, I had to understand the asset class. So that's how I got into it.
Okay, so what about Yvette? I mean, being our self-declared newbie here, what is it that fascinates you so much about blockchain technology and the crypto sphere?
Yeah, we hear a lot of these buzzwords going around in the past few years. I think especially in the past 1 or 2 years. And, yes, I am a self-determined newbie. I knew nothing about crypto. And if I can describe it, I would feel like, right now I am in this train station in the Harry Potter series, looking to go through that wall, like platform 9 3/4. And knowing that, the other side of the wall is something great, but, there is a little bit of a barrier if anyone would resonate with me, that, going through the wall, it's kind of scary. We don't know what's going on there, but knowing that there's something exciting beyond that. And that's why, I'm really excited to hear more about, what Natalie will be talking about later. And, just hearing about all those funds just now, I'm already like, oh, okay.
That was why I snuck in a smile. I was thinking if you were going to be taking notes for all those terms. There's a lot of terminology, but as Natalie will be sharing with you later, there's a lot of information on the internet, which really helps with the continuous learning process. So back to you, Natalie. You've been in the blockchain crypto sphere for the last 5-6 years. How has it changed your life? I mean, what have been the biggest changes to your life because of this new world?
Sure. I would say it's a very intellectually challenging space, actually, because things are always changing. There's always new stuff coming up. Even though you're in a space, you're kind of like catching up all the time, right? There's new technology. There's a lot of smart people in the space, very creative as well. Things like NFT, things like DeFi. It only come out recently. It only come out this year, and then the market cap just exploded, and now it's over 5-6 billion. So it's a massive space to be in, and there's a lot of exciting things happening. It created a lot of new jobs. It created a lot of new investment opportunities for people. Different aspects, there is fixed income, and there are NFT, which obviously is more hype driven, and you have tokens that have very strong fundamentals as well. I mean, there's just it's very eye-opening, seeing that so much have happened in the last few years. I think it's definitely one of the space that have grown the most compared with all the other industry, right? So I think it's very intellectually challenging for me, and I enjoy it very much.
I think for a lot of our listeners today, I think the mindset that they all have is this, that they want to be able to venture into this world that you've been in for 5 or 6 years, and hopefully be a little bit more equipped to go on this adventure. Yeah. So just a little bit more from Yvette. What do you actually know so far? Before, I'm sure you did a little bit of homework before you came on today.
Honestly, I don't know much. I know for crypto, it's been around for a long time. We've heard about, we've seen memes a lot right now for crypto, like going up and down. And I think for a lot of my friends and myself who are, kind of in our 20-something, early 30s, and, while we're studying, there's no fintech major. And that knowing that this is going to be a huge future for anyone in this world, it's kind of, in a way, scary and exciting. And so that's why I think more about the practicality of, okay, knowing that this is the impact of crypto, where do we go and how do we start? What is the baby steps that we can take to, as you said, join this new adventurous world?
Sure. So I would say, actually, crypto is is based on tech, right? But there's actually a lot of jobs that are non-tech driven. So, for example, a crypto company would need to have HR. They will need to have sales. They will need to have marketing. They will need to have compliance. They will need to have operations. They will need to have customer service. So these are all opportunities, right, available for anyone to get in. We can't have 100 engineers in the same company. Well, you can unless you're a very big company, but you can't just have one function. You have to have people that are good at different things. I would say you can't know it all in crypto. No one does, because there's just always so many new things coming up. So if you want to get into the space, you need to accept the fact that there will be things that you don't know, right? There will be unknowns. There will be changes. You need to mentally prepare yourself to accept that first. And once you are ready, your psychological burden is just a lot less. Honestly, it's like how you handle the unknown that really matters, right? It's your attitude, right? Like, don't beat yourself up because there's things that you don't know. Come on.
Okay,
like,
I love that actually, because this is like
right?
sports, venturing into the unknown, and then performing, under uncertainty. Yes, and so now let's go back. Like we'll talk more about psychology because we come from a similar, academic background. And for me, like I really would love to know, for example, like how do I set up my wallet? Where and how do I buy my first coin? Like,
all right,
little baby
all
stuff.
Yeah. Well, actually, that's a very good question, because for anyone, before you wanted to get into crypto, own some crypto first, right? That's going to be in the job interview. Like, have you ever owned any crypto before? So get ready for that. You don't have to have a lot, but try a little bit, maybe $100, $500, right? That's go through the process. So to set up a hot wallet, there's different types of wallet. There's hot wallet, there's cold wallet, there is
actually, Natalie, if you don't mind,
yeah,
I could just help to restart the conversation a little bit, since we're going into more details now. Perhaps we could just start with what exactly is cryptocurrency, because from my research, there are over 18,000 kinds in circulation already. Which are the most popular ones, and what exactly is cryptocurrency in layman terms?
Sure. So basically, cryptocurrency is built on a blockchain. And what is a blockchain, right? So blockchain is a chain of different blocks. So how this is being done, right, is that it is a permissionless network. So meaning that you don't need other people to approve it when you, for example, try to send money to another person. You don't need any middlemen involved. And that's just a lot more efficient because you cut out a lot of the costs. So how a transaction is being done in cryptocurrency, for example, is that there's proof of work, and then there's proof of stake. So proof of work would be basically computers compete against each other to solve a math question. And if you're the fastest to solve it, you win it. And then you earn a crypto, right? And then what miners do basically is to help with the transaction of the cryptocurrency, and that basically a new block will be built on the blockchain. Every time there's a transaction, it will record like the time, and also the IP addresses and all the details of the transaction. It's an open source. Anyone can view it. You can also go online and view the transaction, and the history is always there. So basically blockchain, Bitcoin, right, it was born in 2013. If you want to trace a transaction back in 2013, you can find it on a blockchain. So that's how transparent it is. That's why it's actually quite hard to use it for money laundering as well. That's one of the reasons, because it's just so transparent, right? Yeah, so that's cryptocurrency in layman term. Built on a blockchain, decentralized, and permissionless, peer-to-peer. I send it directly to you, no middleman needed.
I guess definitely part of the attractions. So which are the most popular ones? Or
I would say Bitcoin.
yeah, more
probably.
popular.
Yeah.
Bitcoin.
Yeah, that's one of the first that a lot of people have heard about, and it has the largest market cap. There's a lot of transaction happening on it every day. I mean, well, the total market cap of Bitcoin amongst all the other cryptocurrency used to be much larger. But now we've got a lot of new cryptocurrencies coming out, like Jessica has said. So that's why the dominance of Bitcoin actually decreased over time. And then you get other new ones as well, such as Ethereum is very common. You've got, the Polkadots, the Solanas, Avalanche, all these up and coming ones that wants to act as part of the infrastructure. So there's always new competition. And I think the space is maturing and they're competing. Each of them are competing for more dominance in the market space.
Okay. And Natalie, like, as you see the market mature, like, do you think that it will become more and more fragmented and competitive, like you just said, or like at some point, like there will be a few big Bitcoins going around, or a few cryptocurrencies going around that's more of the dominant ones?
Sure.
That is shaping the landscape.
Sure. So actually, the whole industry is actually a little bit like back then, when we have the tech boom, right? So you get all of the tech unicorns coming up. They're competing against each other. Each one's trying to be the number one in the space. But I think because the whole space is so new, so they are competing, but at the same time, they're also building up the space together. But I think Yvette, you're right. So eventually there will be a few that will dominate, the space, but which one, we don't know yet. And also, back then, some of them that used to be quite popular is gonna, be challenged, and then they're gonna be weed out. For example, it would be the Yahoo equivalent, right? The Googles, they become the dominant space, and then someone that used to be quite big, they have to keep up as well. So the fact that you're number one doesn't mean that you will always be that.
There's a lot of energy involved in this, in terms of persistence and just pushing ahead, trying to be ahead of the game when it's always moving. Yeah. So moving.
If I may just add one more little question, because I have so many questions. So what do you see as like the competitive advantage for these cryptos? Like, in your personal view, like what do you think would make something stand out in the long run?
Sure. I think, first of all, I'll look at scalability. It needs to be able to scale, because you're handling a lot of transactions every day, and it needs to be fast, it needs to be secure, and it needs to handle the large volume of data and a large volume of users in order for it to be the number one. So that would be something I would look at. The speed, security, can it scale? That would be actually one of the key factors when you're choosing like which one you wanted to invest in. Yeah.
Okay, that's a very good tip. We'll have to remember that.
Technology is always updating. So, for example, right, like Ethereum back then in the day, it used to be a lot slower as the chain grows larger. But then now they have, for example, Ethereum layer 2, they have the roll-ups. And then now it's just a lot faster than what it used to be. So even the chains themselves are evolving. They're getting better. Engineers are working at it. So I think in the space, everyone's trying to attract, good talents, engineers, help me improve the chain, work on the backend protocol. So there is quite a shortage of talents, good talents especially. Come into the space early and learn about it. And we'll see where that takes you, right?
Yeah. Hold that thought for a moment on talent. We'll come back to this later on in our discussion. So to start with, we for example, we are interested in Yvette's first time. She wants to dabble, wants to test the playing field out. Where should she start? I mean, we talked about just then. You were just talking about crypto wallets and how you keep your assets safe. People worry a lot. I mean, you hear stories all the time about how people invested 8 years ago, 10 years ago, and they forgot their password, and boom, that's the entire wallet gone.
Yeah.
Maybe you could tell us a little bit more about different kinds of wallets, and how is it that you can keep your crypto safe once you've decided to invest in a particular asset?
Sure. So there is different types of wallets. So you have your hot wallet, you have a cold wallet, you have a centralized wallet, you have a decentralized wallet. So let's say, let's start with a hot wallet. So a hot wallet means that it's connected to the internet, right? So anything like maybe your wallet at Binance, your wallet at Huobi, your wallet at bit.com. So these would be hot wallet because it's connected. A cold wallet is something that is like a USB. So for example, like a Trezor, so that is your cold wallet.
Yes.
If you want it to be safe, put your crypto in a cold wallet. It's disconnected from the internet. It's a lot harder to hack, basically. So it depends on what you want. If you want to have a place that you can trade a large number of cryptocurrency, you can actually go on to websites, for example, like CoinGecko.com. So they list out all the exchanges globally, most of them, and then how many types of token they support, what's the daily trading volume. You can pick an exchange that has liquidity, that has a large number of tokens supported, and then you'll be able to find different types there. And depending on your need, someone actually prefers to go for a regulated exchange or regulated custodian because they feel a lot safer. Then you can look up, do your own research. For example, OSL, they're regulated in Hong Kong. And there's different types of regulatory license as well. For example, Labuan in Malaysia is giving out regulatory license to another exchange, Fusang. So I mean, there's so many exchanges you can choose from. And also the challenging thing about crypto is there's just so many choices, right? So many different tokens, so many different exchange. But if you wanted to buy stocks, you have Hong Kong Exchange, you have New York Stock Exchange, you have Chicago Stock Exchange, you can name them. But in crypto, I think the number of exchanges is a large number. You have centralized exchange like Huobi, Binance, where there's a company incorporated, there's a company managing it, and at the same time you have decentralized exchange as well. So meaning that the whole exchange, it pretty much like runs on a code, and there's no centralized point. So those are more, you get better yields on these places, but if you lose your password, there's no customer service. So it's pick and choose what you want, what suit you. I would say start with maybe an easy one first. So MetaMask, for example, so they're free. You can go online and set up one in 10 minutes. Make sure you take down, the 24 or 48 words that will let you restore your wallet. Don't lose it. If you lose it, then someone can get access to all your crypto.
That is definitely scribbling that down.
There are YouTube videos like step-by-step guide. So I think YouTube is actually quite a good place for newbies to pick up these knowledge. Yeah.
Okay.
And I think one of the misconceptions is that everyone thinks that because if we use Bitcoin as an example, Bitcoin has increased in value so much over the last couple of years. Everyone seems to think that you have to buy a whole Bitcoin before you can invest. And now it's so expensive, then it's a huge amount to be putting up to beginning your adventure. But that's not really the case, is it? You don't have to buy a whole coin.
Oh, you can buy a fraction of it. You can buy like 0.01, you can buy 0.001, 0.0001. So whatever the amount that you feel comfortable to put in, and it needs to be the amount that you're comfortable to lose as well. So if it goes to zero, like you can still, maintain your lifestyle, then go for it. It's still a very volatile space, in all fairness, because it's getting there. But it has to go through this period of volatility and growth before it can finally get there and stabilize. But then it actually is a lot more stabilized already compared with a couple of years ago when you look at the volatility. So it's all out there. The data is all out there. yeah, but still, it's a risky asset class. Yeah.
Okay. And before I ask the question of how do I set up my wallet, jumping into it, just a little question about liquidity. Like, so I'm sure this is a question, like this is a cryptos for a dummy 101 question. And, how do we liquidate, how do we get the asset going from this world, crypto world, to say if I want to use it to the real world, like what is the process like?
Sure. So there's different ways to do it. You can go to an OTC desk that lets you convert your fiat to crypto, crypto to fiat. If you can do a peer-to-peer. So that's available on Binance, and it directly, basically, it's a platform that connects you with the other person that is willing to trade with you. But then that's kind of at your own risk as well. You might want to see how many reviews he had, how many trades he's done before, see if there's any negative comments on the person. So it's a bit like an eBay, right? It's a bit like so there's different ways to do it. If you wanted to just buy crypto, for example, Coinbase.com, it supports credit card, some credit cards, not all. So it really depends on what you think is most convenient for you. I know some shops, they accept crypto. You can actually use that as, to buy maybe a coffee. You can also go to a Bitcoin ATM. So you can search online where they are, go there, scan the wallet, and buy crypto. Or if you want real cash, scan the wallet and you get real cash out, just like a normal ATM. So that's fun as well. Yeah.
I know that Jessica already has her wallet set up. So have you done any of those, Jessica? Like, have you bought anything with crypto?
Have I spent any of it? No, I'm a hoarder. All I do is collect stuff. So I've had my experience with setting up my first wallet, and then after that I helped some friends, and it's not as complicated as it seems, but don't expect it to be the kind of logic you would expect with setting up a bank account. It's not the same. But once you've done it once, it's like riding a bicycle. You won't forget how to do it. And then after that, oh, that was really logical. It's just that I was being illogical. So I totally agree with Natalie. It's start somewhere small, and step by step. I think. I mean, was it just then one of you said something about the unknown? I know this sounds ridiculous, but every time I think about stepping into the crypto sphere, learning more about blockchain and its application to the world, I always feel like it reminds me of that theme song from Frozen 2, Into the Unknown.
Or is that the background here?
Nah, yeah, it's bringing back some of that, definitely. But I think it's being able to embrace that. That's the biggest takeaway I've had with all my discussions with the various women that I've met in this sector. It's really amazing how you guys have the in Chinese it's the 冒險精神, but it's not really 冒險. It's more, I wouldn't put it that way. It's just having that mindset to be brave enough to take that first step, and then beyond that, it's all yours. It's up to you where you want to take yourself.
Very well said. It's like a prep talk. Yes, and talking about marketplace, I think this really goes well into our the next thing that's on my mind, and that's NFT. Because there's a lot going on about NFT lately. We see a lot of artwork. So Natalie, may I ask, can you explain in your own words, what is NFT, and is it something that's going to stay long term, or is it a marketing hype?
Sure. Yeah, NFT is definitely quite hot this year. So NFT stands for non-fungible token. Maybe a lot of you know already. So basically, a lot of things can be an NFT, such as a JPEG can be an NFT. You can turn maybe a song into an NFT. You can turn a video into an NFT. You can make your own NFT. So
we could make
NFT,
this recording into an NFT if we really wanted
absolutely.
to.
we can tokenize this webinar and maybe issue different maybe 10 tokens out from it. Everyone gets one. We can absolutely do that. Yeah, I mean, it's quite a bit of hype. I would say why people buy NFT is either maybe they wanted to support the artist. It's quite a direct way to support the artist. The money goes directly to the artist. Or maybe there are some benefits associated with the NFT, such as maybe you are able to join a membership of a club by holding an NFT. You know, they give out free stuff sometimes. Oh, if you're the owner of the NFT, then I'm going to give you out free tokens. Or maybe if you stake the NFT, then you get a stable income stream. It can be, you know, as a passive strain of income. So
Natalie,
I mean,
for our audience, could you explain what staking means? I learned what that means because I staked my first NFT 2 days ago. But please explain for our to our audience what this is.
Sure. So basically, when you stake your NFT, then that means that, you know, the NFT is in a proof of stake network. So that means that you can get actually it can be some kind of tokens. When you stake your NFT, you can see it as a fixed income product where, for example, like you get interest, but instead of interest, you're getting token, because once the NFT is staked, it's part of the proof of stake network. It helps with the transaction of tokens. And when you support the network, then you are rewarded with the token, basically. Yeah. So there's
Please go ahead.
Yeah, so in layman terms, when you stake it, so that means that you are putting that out, but you are getting, you know, stable interest return. And of course, you know, that still belongs to you. If one day you decided not to stake it, you can always have it back. Sometimes they say, oh, when you stake it, you need to lock it up for 3 months. Go ahead. No, I mean, if you don't need to sell it within 3 months, then go for it. Like some of them, they stake it for a couple of years. Some of them, they stake it for a year-ish. So there's medium term, long term. So it depends on how long you wanted to put that up for. But yeah, I mean, NFT there is quite a bit of community around the space. For example, like the Bored Ape Club. So that one there's a very strong community built upon it. There's a lot of marketing activities going on. There is, you know, the owners of the Bored Apes, so they were given like mutant portions. They were you know, given ape tokens, ape coins. So yeah, there is benefits of holding an ape, you know, as expensive as it is. Yeah.
Any more questions about the NFT?
Yeah. So if I go and create my own NFT, I don't know what that would be. How do I do it? And you know,
I know I can think of one, like one of your Olympic race. That definitely is worth minting, right?
Okay. Well, if I'm Siobhan Hockey, maybe I can stake it for a very good.
No, any Olympian is worthy.
Okay. Yeah, like, you know, as say if I'm someone who is wanting to create my own NFT, like how do I go through, and like how do I know that, you know, my NFT is worth certain value or if it's valuable at all? Like I know because I heard about NFT, it's more about decentralized, you know, recognizing also a bunch of artists and people whoever has the power to create something that's recognized in the community. But how do we step in there, and kind of what sort of directions do we take?
Sure. So to create your NFT, there's actually different websites that you can do it. So a lot of them actually accept Ether, Ethereum, you know, for you to create your own NFT. So once you set up your own wallet, get some Ether, go onto the website and upload the JPEG and, you know, put in the Ether and it's quite easy to do. So I think maybe less than half an hour you'll be able to have your first NFT. And as to how, sorry, your second question was how to know the value, right? So
Yes.
You set your own floor price. There is a certain floor price. It's like when you're bid for something, then there is a floor price that it doesn't go lower than that floor price. So you as the owner and the seller of the NFT, you're able to decide, how much is that worth? Maybe 0.2 ETH, 0.3 ETH. A lot of NFT when they're first minted is around that range, from 0.1 ETH to 0.3 ETH. So that's quite a common price when the NFT are being minted. So minting means that you are getting the NFT for the first time, getting that NFT for the first time. So meaning like you're the first owner of that NFT. So that's called minting. Yeah.
Wow, fascinating. So,
Yeah.
Jessica, have any of your daughters, put up a JPEG up there yet?
I think they're going to, because I was showing them what actually the NFT that I stake actually doesn't belong to me. It was gifted by one of our friends to my youngest daughter. So she's the first proud owner of an NFT in the family. But when I showed them, they were just so fascinated. And then I was showing them various games where NFTs become it's part of the whole playing field, and they were just completely, they were stuck to the screen. Can I have the VR goggles because I want to be able to be in this world? So I can see this being a big part of the world that you'll grow up in and then they'll grow up in.
Yeah, I mean, just an example, right? So NFT doesn't just come in 2D. So they can also come in 3D. So you can actually have your daughter make maybe a character, an avatar for a game, and then sell it, put it on a platform. If you buy it from me, then you can actually, use my avatar to play the game. I know someone made maybe an airplane or a sports car as an NFT. You can drive around in a sports car in this virtual world. Some of the NFT, you can even buy a whole planet for an NFT. You can buy a land for an NFT. So these are all practical use cases, a weapon in a game, and some of the NFT, once you've owned it, and later on, even after it's being sold, you kind of like I wouldn't say it's like a patent, but you can still profit from it for ongoing transactions of that NFT as one of the previous owners. So there's, different NFTs, there's different use cases. Before you buy one, try to get to know, why you're buying it. What's the team behind it? Why do you think it's worth it? And are you holding to it long term, or is it just like a short term opportunistic buy? So I mean, there's no right or wrong. It's just the way how you treat it. Yeah.
Wow, there's a whole portfolio going on in the metaverse.
Yeah.
Like you need crypto, you need NFT. Like it's like how do you see this blockchain or crypto going to change our lives? Like, and in the future, if you imagine, asset wealth management, like how do you see this going?
Sure. So I think it is already happening, right? From an asset management standpoint, crypto has quite decent yield for a start, right? Because what we always talk about on our day job is that if you wanted like a traditional asset manager to get into crypto, they're not going to buy like small tokens that no one have heard of, right? They're going to come in step by step. Maybe they will buy some USDT first, stake it, get a nice yield, or they can maybe buy Bitcoin and get a yield from it. Allocate maybe 5%, 2%, 1% of the portfolio into the asset for a start. And some of them, they offer fixed deposit of your crypto. It works just like the bank, but instead of real money, you have a fixed deposit of Bitcoin, and the yield's actually pretty good, like 1-2%, APY, compared with your money put in the bank. Not even like 0.5%. Yeah. So that's one thing you can think of, right? from a wealth management standpoint is the yield.
Okay.
And also there is arbitrage opportunities, a lot of arbitrage opportunities. So arbitrage means that you profit from the price difference of the same asset, but in different place. For example, a Bitcoin that I got from Huobi is 40K, but if I get it from Binance, it's 41K. So there's an arbitrage opportunity of 40 and 41. I probably buy it at 40K, sell it at 41K immediately, and then I get 1K. So that's arbitrage. So because crypto is such a is an industry that is maturing, there is a lot of opportunities to profit from the price differences. And because there's so many exchanges, so many tokens, so imagine the amount of profit that can be generated. So actually the funds, the performance is actually really impressive last year. And I think because they are able to make money, so that's how they attract even more investors into the space. That's why we see a lot of new funds setting up. They're proper institutional grade. They find a proper custodian to hold the token for them. They have a fund administrator to do the valuation, to do the subscription redemption, to the KYC AML. You can see that people are getting more and more serious about it. They're having a more long-term mindset. And I think that's all good for the industry. You see new regulations coming in, which is great because the industry can only grow when when there is a proper risk and control in place. So that's all, a lot of what we've observed in the space in the past year. Yeah.
Okay. Just one quick question before we move on to the next session on talents and everything. Okay, this is $1 billion question. Do you think that, the fiat world and the crypto world would equally coexist going say 20 years, 30 years from now? Or it's going to be more heavily based on crypto? It's going to engulf the, take over the real fiat world?
Well, I would say I do anticipate the crypto world to grow and for it to gain dominance. Whether it would dominate the space and whether it would take over fiat, so that's another question. But I think now it's actually still early, so there are still a lot of opportunities for growth. And I don't expect it to slow down anytime soon. So it's not late. I would say definitely not late to get in. There's still a lot of opportunities. But I do think they will coexist. I don't think fiat will completely disappear. There is convenience using fiat. It felt good, right, to hold cash, to be able to see it, feel it, and banks as well, right? If I lose my password, I know who to go to retrieve it. If I accidentally press the wrong transaction, I know I can call the bank and maybe try to recall it. There are benefits. We can't deny that. So I would say, they're good at different things, and there is definitely enough space for them to coexist. Yeah.
Okay, I'm back. Thank you, ladies. We have reached the first half. We finished the first half of this webinar. We have gone through the introduction of what you ladies do, and we have touched on Crypto 101. So we so-called. We know about wallet. We know about NFT, how to mint it, and wow, this is the first time I have heard of. There's so many kinds of different wallets. So I better go make sure that I have a cold wallet too, because right now it's all on my mobile. It sounds a bit dangerous as far as I'm concerned. Just one question from me. Before all these NFT and blockchain happened, when we hear airdrop, it's from an iPhone to an iPhone or iOS device dropping another thing to our iOS device. But we have been hearing a lot about airdrop with NFT. What exactly is airdrop?
Sure. So airdrops, it often happen when the marketing team of a token wants to promote it by giving out a portion of a free token to people, and also to basically they want the stats to also look nice, right? You want a lot of different wallets to hold your token. You don't want only, oh, how many people own your token? Oh, only 10. So you don't want that. You want more people to also get to use it, like try it out, be part of it. So often for the marketing campaign, they would save a portion of the token to give out to people as an airdrop. So you leave your wallet address there, and then they would be able to drop you a small portion of the token, in your wallet. And sometimes, like if you own some token, they would be able to get the wallet address, and then they would just send other tokens to you. So often they are smaller size tokens, but they're mostly for marketing purpose. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for explaining that. We are going to move on to our second half of today's webinar. We have covered quite a bit of Crypto 101. And starting session 3 right now, it's all about you ladies, women in crypto, and your advantage or difficulties. So please carry on, and I will be back in a bit for Q&A section. And for all the audience we have here, please do remember that we have a networking lounge section after this. So please stay behind when we are done. See you guys in a bit.
Okay, so as we move into the next session of our discussion today, as you're all aware, this is a webinar hosted by the JES Network. The JES Network, sorry to say, all of our members are women. And the aim, mission of this community is to connect, inspire, and empower women. So for a woman in the crypto crypto sphere, how do you see it as a segment for women, as opposed to other segments that you've worked in? It is clearly a male-dominated sector. So how do you feel as a woman in that sector?
I would say it's definitely a male-dominated area, but there is a strength that a woman has that would enable you to shine as well in that sector. There are instances that, oh, maybe you feel intimidated, the room is full of guys or mainly guys, and then they're talking in a very technical way. Oh, there are so many terms that they're saying that I don't understand, and I don't want to ask them because I don't want them to know that I don't know. I'll just pretend that I know. I mean, it happens. It does happen. But then that's okay, because I think they're actually quite willing to show you actually what that is. And a lot of them are very nice as well. So I think they also understand that it's a male-dominated space, and I don't think guys like to work in a place where it's just guys. So, right. So they won't give you a hard time. I don't think they will. But yeah, I mean, there are strengths that a woman uniquely has, right? In terms of communication, for example, HR, marketing, compliance, sales. So these roles are very well performed by women. And don't get me wrong, I mean, design, tech as well. Some women's very good at tech. So I mean, there are, it doesn't mean that, because we're a woman or because of a gender, then that means that you're disadvantaged. Don't ever think that way. And I think if you give yourself, you need to trust, in your ability to do well, in your ability to handle unknown, because we can all learn. And like we said, we have always been learning, right? Since we're a kid, we always, no one has ever had a life that they never failed at anything, right? No one knows everything when they're born. So it's part of a journey. Enjoy the journey, be humble, and learn from other people, make friends. And I think that would get you quite somewhere that you wanted to go. And have an open mind as well, because no one gets into crypto on day one and know exactly what they want to do, right? It takes some time to explore. As you learn more and as you get to meet more people, you'll know what suits you and what you don't and what doesn't, right? So it's all part of the journey. You figure out as you go along the journey, and don't give yourself too much pressure, because if that doesn't work out, you can always go back to what you have been doing, right? So yeah, I mean, enjoy it. Yeah. And then if you're really able to enjoy it, then I think you would be able to last long, you know, in the space.
Yeah, no, it's very
I think
well
that
put. I love your
applies to it,
positivity. Just one question, like, so like you mentioned that, you know, there's quite a number of women in the crypto space, but it's still very male dominated. So across the value chain of crypto, like there's different roles, you know, you got marketing, human resources operation, you know, trading, yada, yada, yada. Where exactly do you see the, you know, the kind of less women in that space, in that roles? Is it like in trading or like in some particular area that there's less women in, and what are those challenges do you see like that they play in that role?
Sure. I would say probably it's tech, right?
Okay.
Like actually the coding side, building up the blockchain, the security engineers, you know, some of the crypto gaming companies are hiring maybe gaming developers, full stack developers. So I think these are still a very, you know, male dominated space. It doesn't mean that a female cannot do it, but I think traditionally how we're educated, or maybe how we, you know, the gender stereotype raised us when we were girls, it get passed on to, you know, when you become an adult, you know, and also the opportunities you were exposed in, you know, the toys that you were being, you know, played with when you were a kid. But I think nowadays the world has changed, right? Like Jessica's mentioned, you know, her kids are also playing with the NFT stuff. Probably, I think Jessica would encourage her daughter to also play around with the tech. So I think, you know, in the future, it's going to change. I honestly think in the future, there's a lot of women that is going to be in the blockchain space that is going to be very successful. It's going to be a much more balanced place where we can all thrive.
Yes, and I think you're like, I agree with you that it has a very strong linkage back to the education. Yeah. And I do see a change in education recently with more and more encouragement with having women in STEM subjects. And I'm excited to see, you know, maybe not the current generation, but the next ones that there will be an equality, or in numbers at least, that we see in these roles, etc. And maybe we'll see, you know, one of Jessica's daughters, you know, being a full-blown like engineer.
A CTO.
I don't know. I mean, you know, when I was at school and when we had programming back in the days, I was actually better than all the guys in my class at programming. I just got bored of it. So I don't think it's a boy girl gender thing. It's just more, I guess, what interests you. I just got bored of it. It wasn't because I couldn't do it. Mm-hmm. And I think as you were saying, as this becomes a more pronounced subject or attitude in education of the next generation, having these skill sets is going to be gender neutral. So I think in the future, in terms of finding talent and attracting talent, it will be much more gender neutral. I mean, in terms of talent, how do you guys go about finding talent? This industry being so new, there are very few people who have a lot of experience. I mean, 1 year's experience is like 10 years in the traditional world. So where do you find this kind of talent? Women or men? Just talent.
Sure. Yeah. Actually, you know what? One thing also quite unique about crypto is that a lot of companies are quite global. So they're not tied to one place. And the reason being that is because in order to attract the right talent on board, they need to have an open-minded, he or she might be in Silicon Valley, they might be in Dubai, they might be in UK. They're not physically stuck in one place. So that's why a lot of the roles are actually remote. As long as you can get the job done, they actually don't mind like where you're based. A lot of good companies, they also operate that way. And it's getting more and more common. So I think it's a global thing, you know, for recruitment in crypto. It's not tied to one place. They don't need you to be physically in the office 9 to 5, because crypto is 24/7 and crypto is all online. So it's just a new paradigm of how the world works. So I think if you're able to enjoy the space, if you're able to gain knowledge in the space, to tap into the space, you'll be one of the frontiers, and you might enjoy, the newly found freedom in terms of choosing your own work hours, more result-oriented, way to work. And yeah, I mean, it's still new, so I think not all the hires require the person to have experience in crypto, but then at least show them that you have owned some crypto. If they ask you what's a blockchain, try your best to explain in a layman terms. Make friends, because a lot of the startups, they like to hire through referrals. Have friends in the space, get the opportunity, seize it, network more, speak with people, talk to people, and you'll be surprised at what you can find.
What kind of talent specifically?
Tips.
The thing is, you can't plan everything. You can't plan everything. List out, if I do 0.123, then it's 3, 4, 5. It doesn't work like that. It's more like you go out there, try first, put in the effort, and then the results will come, right? You do your part, and there's other parts that you can't control. Let's be honest, we can't control everything. But if you do what you're supposed to do, I think the opportunity will come. It's still very early. The job demand is still massively, like more than the supply. Yeah.
So in terms of I'm just thinking about young women, young men who are in their late teens going into university, or thinking about or about to go into university. What kind of subjects or specializations would you recommend for them if eventually the blockchain world is where they want their careers to be?
So that's actually a very, very good question. The thing about education is it's actually based on a system that has been running for a long time. But blockchain is not mainstream. It hasn't been around for so long. It was never in a textbook. I think even if nowadays, even in university, maybe they will have 1 or 2 chapters about blockchain, but you can't get a whole degree in blockchain. But it doesn't mean that you can't get into the space. But I think maybe if you really wanted to go in through the education path, you can consider maybe a short-term course. So there's, I think, Oxford University do a fintech course, like a short term, try that if you really wanted to do a course. But even if there is a course, sometimes the materials are not as updated as the technology, right? The most updated information is all on the internet. It's on YouTube, it's on GitHub, it's on Discord, it's on Telegram. Join some of these groups. If you are still studying, you can take the opportunity by applying for some internships. It may not pay a lot of money for a start, but it's going to be worth it. A little bit of experience is going to open a lot more doors for you. The key is to get started, because if you don't get started, you're not going anywhere. So 1 foot in the door first, and then it will open up a lot of opportunities for you. And I think the actual experience of working is a lot more valuable than studying, because when you study, you're being fed information, but that's not how the industry works. The industry is about you being genuinely interested in it, you Googling it, you are curious, right? You go on to see, actually, how do I make passive income from crypto, right? How do I mine crypto? It's all about that. So find something you're genuinely interested in. For example, there's a lot of crypto gaming companies that are doing very well. If you're into it, like a 3D artist or something, they're hiring. So it doesn't matter what major you're in. It's a mindset that people are looking for.
So just one more question on the topic. International Women's Day this year, the key words were break the bias. So for women in the crypto sphere, blockchain segment, what are your thoughts on breaking the bias?
I would say break the bias. I would say the industry itself is very male dominated traditionally. In order to break the bias, I think women should take part more in events. It doesn't mean that you need to quit your job and go to find a crypto job the next day, but slowly get yourself accustomed to the space, right? Like slowly get to learn more, to meet more people. I think that's already a very good step, number one, for a lot of people that is new to the space. Don't invest 100% of everything you own into crypto, sell your house, buy a crypto. That's not the whole point of the webinar. But it's more like taking the first step and giving yourself the opportunity to learn about a new technology that is up and coming. And because the cost of not learning is going to be a lot more expensive than, you know, putting maybe $100, $500, $1,000 into the new asset class. So have an open mind. I think breaking the bias is about getting more women into the space so that it slowly changes the ecosystem and it slowly changes the landscape. And also shows that, you know, more women will be able to make it to a leadership role and to drive the business, to be part of a startup and to enjoy, you know, the upside of working in a startup. Because, you know, you can be awarded with equity, you can be awarded with tokens, you get a lot more flexibility in the role, and you get a lot more autonomy to decide how the company will be steered. And I think women in the last 100 years haven't had the opportunity to be as active as they are now. But now we have the opportunity. So now we should be seizing the opportunity.
That's very, very encouraging words from Natalie. I think that's, sorry, Yvette, do you have any more questions on women in the sector?
That will be
Women
endless, but that's it for now. No, Natalie said it so well. Yeah, Natalie said it so well. Thank you. I think that's very encouraging for a lot of people to hear that.
Yeah, I mean,
perhaps we can move on.
Yeah.
No, go ahead, Natalie. Go ahead.
I mean, the space, there needs to be more women in the space in order for our next generation of women to be able to continue to thrive on what we've built, right? So I think the past generation has already stepped up a lot. You know, compared with our parents, rarely do we see, you know, women taking up a senior leadership position. But now I think we all have the chance. So we should all, you know, just fully utilize the chance. Don't be afraid to fail. Give yourself, you know, a little bit more confidence. Trust in yourself. There's talent in each and every one of us. And if you utilize it properly, you will get quite far. So don't limit yourself. Don't be afraid and just go for it.
In terms of numbers, Natalie, do you have any idea what percentage of people in the industry, what percentage are women?
I would have guessed from an estimate of the people I meet, I would say probably maybe 20 to 30% women so far.
That's higher than I thought. That's much higher than I thought. Yeah, I thought it was more like 10% or something.
A lot of the new hires I see is women. But if you scale it back like a year or two ago, that's nowhere near 20, 30. I think recently, because there's a lot more jobs created, and I think the generation of fresh graduates and people that are early in their 20s have had a lot more open mind. Yeah, so I think it's a good thing, but we still have more to do. There is still stuff to do. There's still, you know, we're just getting started.
So in terms of age, I mean, we've been talking a lot about people in their late teens, 20s, late 20s, at most early 30s. What about people who are in their 40s, possibly in their 50s? They're well established in their own respective sectors or disciplines. What if they suddenly want to take a leap of faith? Is that advisable?
Yeah, I mean, sure. I mean, it's different skill set. They're more seasoned in a way they handle things. They have a more long-term vision. They know how organizations are being structured. They know how, you know, strategic plannings are being done. and they have a lot more connections, right? Connections with different parties in the different industries. And I think there's a lot that can be carried from that age group to crypto as well. You can never have a company that is only, like 15 years old to 25 years old. You need someone to also guide the team, to lead the team. And of course, these people are not going to come in as interns. They're going to come in, as, but to bring in a different, skill set to the group and to guide them from a more strategic way. For example, right, I'll give you an example. A lot of startups are founded by people that's first time doing a startup. But for example, one of a good friend of mine, so he is a C-level candidate. So he has been a CFO for many years. He knows how to look at a balance sheet. He knows how to look at a cash flow. He knows, how should budgeting be done. And in order for the startup to run and to maintain, they cannot burn cash too quickly. It needs to be sustainable. And his role, instead of a full-time, he's a part-time CFO for a couple of these startups, because these startups don't need a full-time CFO, but they do need an advisor to guide them to make the right planning in order for the company to survive the first few years. So that is actually a very good example of how senior executives can get into the space.
Just back to women in the sector, how is it that the crypto sphere and the opportunities there are specifically communicated or promoted to women? Do you have particular channels that you prefer to use, or are there, for example, websites or communities for women? Like, for example, Yvette, she's really interested. She hasn't got any friends in the sector yet. Oh, she's made friends with you, so you're the first. But beyond that, are there communities that women can join to be part of this this whole new world?
Yeah, I mean, one of the very good channels that we see today is the JESSICAHK network. So I mean, it is a very good place to gather women. Give us the opportunity to speak together and to see what we can do for the space. There are other organizations as well. I think there is a Woman in Crypto. There is a woman. There's also another crypto organization that specializes in minorities with color. I mean, it's getting more accepting in the space. Yeah, there's Women in Blockchain, and there is different organizations that caters to women. But yeah, I mean, when you have friends that are in the space, I think a lot of the companies are hiring, or if their company is not, they will have friends of friends that are in a company that is hiring as well. I rarely see a crypto company that says, no, we're not hiring. Rare. So, I mean, so I think referral through a warm network actually is quite a nice way to start. Yeah. Or talk to headhunters. Talk to headhunters. Headhunters them. Yeah. They crypto companies are also going to headhunters because they need to find good talents. So I think that could be also a way to start.
Actually, by way of background, as you brought up, one of the chapters that we're hoping to be able to establish for the JES network is for women in tech, and specifically women in blockchain and crypto. For our May issue, which will be at the end, which will be published at the end of April, actually, we've collaborated with Natalie, some of her friends. I think all of them are your friends. But women who are what we believe are trailblazers in their own right in the sector. They may have been there for a long time. By long time, I mean like 5 or 6 years. Maybe they've been there for shorter, only 2 years, but they're all representing different sectors within the industry, different opportunities. And I think that the great thing that I've learned from all of you that I've spoken to is that you all have so much passion for what you do. There is in common, the theme that you all hold in common is do your homework. You have to be really hardworking. You have to read, research, learn as much as you can, but don't be afraid to take that step forward. And I think that's what we're trying to do. I mean, we start with this booklet in our May issue, but beyond that, we do hope to be able to provide a platform for women in tech, women in blockchain to come together. I am a true believer that women who are successful come also in style. I refuse to accept that women who are successful in their own right, in their own respective sectors or industries, cannot also be attractive and care about how they look like. All of the package. It's about the substance inside and how great you look outside. And most importantly, it's how you also care about the world and the planet. So sustainability is big on our agenda. I mean, I understand parts of what the blockchain technology does may not be particularly eco-friendly, but I am a strong believer that at some point in time, this will come around and they will find better ways to do what they're doing so that the technology is not just useful, but it's also sustainable. And that should mean a lot for the planet and for the human race. And I'm so glad that I've had this opportunity to meet all of you, and Natalie's joined us today to talk to us about so many of these things and opportunities for, not just for women, I think it's for anyone who's interested. I think this is such a great takeaway. I feel okay to be my age and still be a newbie and be not, actually, if anything, it's sort of like a second chance. Because 20 years ago, that was me, newbie, fresh out of uni, and learning about different things and learning about society and you know, life in the real world is very different from life at school. And now it's like an opportunity to dive into that baby role, if you would, you know, if you can put it that way, all over again. And I think for us older people, older folk on this webinar, it just provides us with so many other opportunities. And this is definitely one that I'm not going to let go of.
Okay, I'm back again. Hi. We have a few questions already, but let's save those for the Q&A session later. We just finished session 3, talking about women in crypto and how they should pursue their career. Let's go. Actually, we have touched on talent hunting too, and where to find talent and how hard it is. So why don't we go on about the opportunities in the crypto sphere? And I do notice that both Natalie and Yvette have studied and majored in psychology. How does that play into your investment and in your career and even in crypto? Go on, ladies.
Yeah, that's been my burning question, actually. So I studied cognitive science in college, and I know Natty studied psychology, which is pretty much very, very, very similar. So how does that affect the way you invest, and how do you unplug yourself from all the noise and happenings around you? Because as we all know, crypto is quite volatile, at least at the moment. And you know, what is your strategy to peak perform in the space?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, before you start anything, right, ask yourself, what's the percentage returns you want? And second of all, ask yourself, what's the amount of risk you're willing to take, right? So if you are looking for something more stable, something very sustainable, you know, there are certain products that would suit you. If you're looking to double, triple, quadruple, maybe 10x, 100x your money, then your risk profile would be very different. And also it depends on your allocation as well. What percentage of your total net worth are you talking about? If you're talking about 50%, you can't be trying to like 50x your 50%. You know, you need to be realistic. And I think risk management is one thing that you need to be very careful about, because the market is very, very volatile. And without proper risk and control, today you make double, tomorrow, you could lose 90%, touch wood. So that's why before even going after the returns, make sure that there is a proper, make sure your risk profile matches what you're investing. Be sensible. Do your research first. You understand what you're buying, understand what you're getting into. So many different types of token. Why are you investing in that one? And you need to be comfortable that if it goes to zero, you can still live a normal life. So that's a responsible way of looking after your portfolio. But yeah, I mean, psychologically, right? Crypto is very hype driven. There is a lot of FOMO happening in the space. It's all about what's the most popular now. For example, NFT is very hot now, but a year ago, people was talking about STO, ICOs. Now, no one's talking about that anymore. So that's also part of psychology. I mean, people's attention span is quite short. There's always lots of stuff competing for their attention. But I think if you are a responsible person, you did your own research, you understand what you're doing, and if you think the risk is acceptable for you, go for it, right? A little bit, like it doesn't hurt you. Like if you're sensible enough to tap into the space, maybe some parts of your portfolio is going to be more aggressive, some parts is going to be more sustainable, buy and hold a little bit, like Jessica's approach actually is what a lot of people do as well. Some of them buy into an index fund that tracks the top 10 crypto, and then they just keep buying, average out. A lot of people use that strategy, and that works as well.
Specifically about these tracker funds, are they available to the average retailer, or do you have to be a professional investor before they'll take you on?
Sure. So there are a few in US that was launched last year. I think some used to be available through Interactive Brokers or some other platform. And also you need to look at your nationality as well. Some of them might be only available to US citizens. So, that you actually need to look into it, and also look into how much fees they're charging you. Because if you're tracking the top 10 crypto, like, I can also ask, like, why don't you just buy the top 10 crypto and just hold it in a cold wallet, right? Like, why am I paying a fee of 10%, of 1% management fee, 10% performance fee, just to help me track the top 10 crypto, when I can, go into Binance,
do it myself.
Yeah, do it yourself. Set, maybe $1,000, buy Bitcoin every month, like first day of every month, you just buy it. Like you can also do that, right? So yeah.
Okay. I have two questions. So one is, the human behavior game. I think within stock market and the crypto market, like, do you see parallels? Is it still like the same pattern that you see within human behavior, how the stock is moving versus psychology? And also, like, in the stock market, like, or the fiat world, there's more and more the debate of discretionary trading versus algorithmic trading. In crypto, is there such thing going on where it's going more and more algorithmic, or right now at this moment it's still quite discretionary?
Sure. So to answer your question, right, the similarities between a traditional market and a crypto market is they're both driven by greed and fear. So that's the underlying, the forever persistent, human drive that is driving it. The difference is, however, is that traditional world is a lot more institution dominant, right? You get the big hedge funds, the big index fund, the big government funds that are driving it. For crypto space, it was very retail at first. Now there's a lot more institutions coming in, but in crypto world, you see a lot of memes, right? Maybe Elon Musk make a tweet the other day, Dogecoin went up 20%, 30%, 50%. But in traditional world, You don't get that, right? Because the market cap is still a lot bigger in traditional world. In crypto world, the market cap of some tokens are still relatively smaller. So yeah, you get that more. Yeah, so I mean, I would say, well, some things like technical analysis, it still applies to both crypto and also the traditional world. But for crypto, we do see quite a lot of algo funds doing pretty well, like machine-driven, like no emotions. They trade purely according to how it is being coded. And then they don't look at fundamentals. They don't look at, they don't analyze, the use case behind the coin. They're just doing it purely from a mathematical standpoint. So the performance are quite okay. We see some like traders trying to manage a fund as well. And that really depends on the person. But then I think in crypto you get all kinds of funds, the DeFi funds, mining funds, NFT funds, SAFT, SAFE funds. Basically SAFTs and SAFE refers to a futures contract for a non-listed token. That means the token is about to be listed on the exchange, but now it's not available yet. So you get funds like that too. That is not available in the traditional world. And also the differences, right? Like doing KYC in crypto is different from doing KYC in the traditional world. And KYC means know your client. For example, like I'll give an example. When you try to open a bank account, they will ask you for your Hong Kong ID card, a wallet. Hong Kong ID card. They will ask you for the address proof. So in order to do background checks, right? But in crypto, on top of that, they may also want to look into the token that you're holding. Have it been in a blacklisted wallet? Have it been in a ransomware before? Have it been blacklisted before? So they will look through the chains of the token and also do a check on that specific token as well. So that's another added level of security that we see that was done differently in the blockchain space. Yeah. So I mean, all in all, it's a very interesting asset class. So there's a lot of new things that came up, and yeah, new technologies as well, new ways to do the KYC, new ways to do things. Still very early. Like I think there's space enough for all of us.
Okay. Wow. A lot of 3 letters that I don't understand for now. With digital marketing, I'm having a lot of headaches with the SEO, SEM, and blah, blah, blah. And now we're dealing with crypto, so I better start writing things down. When it comes to talking about writing things down, we actually have a question, a crypto 101 question. For the wallet, we always have this magic words or keys that we call it. How do we keep it safe apart from writing it down and putting into a safe? Is there any other way that we can try to keep it safe and not lose it? Because with the minute you lose it, you lose everything, right? Do you have any hint?
Yeah, I mean, probably writing it down and keeping it offline would be a preferred way, because it really cuts it out from any things that will happen online. If you accidentally click into a phishing link, they're not going to get it because it's offline, right? It's on a piece of paper, it's in a safe. Hackers can't hack it. So there's private key, public key. Public key is like your email address. For example, nathalielau@gmail.com. Everyone knows your public key. The private key is like your password, in order to log onto your email. So keep your password safe. Write it down on a piece of paper is not a bad choice. If you wanted to put it on your Google Drive, it's at your own risk.
I'm laughing because it's funny, because now we're talking about the safest way to go into this digital world is to go analog.
Is to go offline. Yeah.
There are actually different ways to do it. If you really wanted to keep it safe, there are institutional grade wallets that are used for funds. For example, if you really have a large number of crypto, you're not going to rely on a piece of paper, right? If you have $1 million or 10 million, $1 billion in crypto, you can't rely on a piece of paper. If you lose it, you lose everything. You can't do that. So different ways to do it, right? Is that some people like to keep a few different wallets. So even if they lose one, they still have others. So that's putting your eggs in different baskets. I also see, so some are professional custodian firms. So meaning that they are specialized in holding the crypto for you. But then they also charge a fee. So if you're talking about small amounts, from a cost standpoint, it doesn't justify. But if you have more and more, you can go to these companies. They will need maybe 2 people to sign in order for them to release the transaction. They might need to call you up, verify, and maybe do a Zoom call to record it. So you can consider those companies as well.
Okay, thank you. Hopefully one day I can use that service, but for now I think I can just write it down and put it in my safe for now. Okay, let's move into Q&A section. Before we start Q&A section, everybody please remember we have a networking lounge later. If you have more questions that you would like to ask our speaker, Natalie, Yvette, and Jessica. Okay, let's start with the first question here. Will the crypto world widen or narrow the gap between the haves and have-nots? And how can it help us to create a more equitable world? Maybe Natalie? That's
sure.
A tough question.
Sure. So I think, in order to answer that question, break it down maybe into 2 parts. So I think at the beginning, back then in 2013 to 2016, 2017, it is indeed narrowing the gap, because you see a lot of people that are originally, they are tech geeks. They just like the technology. They just think this is the future money, and then they start mining it. They learn everything online. They didn't come from a wealthy family. They don't come from, a family business. They don't come from a very, well-established institutions, but then they stumbled upon it on the internet, and then they buy into the idea. They read the white paper. They think there is potential in it, and then they just kept doing it. So I think at first it does, but I think as the industry matures, for example, you see earlier there were proposals that crypto is a risky asset and it should be only made available to the professional investors. So meaning unless you're $1 million in your account, you can't buy it anymore. So how's that narrowing the wealth gap? That's increasing the wealth gap, right? And then you see people from a wealthy family, they send 1 Bitcoin to each of their kids as a Christmas present a couple of years ago. You see, those that have resources, right? They hire people to teach their kids about programming in Solidity, which is a commonly used language for the blockchain. But of course, it doesn't mean that if you don't come from that background, you are rejected from the access, because it's all available on the internet. Like if you are motivated enough, if you're curious enough, you can always go there. But does people with more resources have an advantage? Well, I do think they do, right? For example, like all the crypto funds that I set up, they are managed by professionals. They're managed by a portfolio manager. And in order to subscribe to the fund, you need to be a professional investor. So you can come from a family that owns a lot of land, owns a lot of property. You don't know anything about crypto, but you can get access, to these funds and still get exposure in the asset class. But if you doesn't have resources, it doesn't mean that you're doomed to fail, right? Go onto YouTube. There's people teaching you about mining, people teaching you about different new cryptocurrencies. They walk you through the chains. They walk you through what this project is about, the team. I think if you put enough time in it, do your own research, you can still do well in the space.
Okay, thank you, Natalie. Another question when it comes to crypto world. It's crypto going to take over the world, and how does that affect the future of money, or will it be the future of money? That's a lot of the question a lot of people ask before.
Sure. Sure. So I think, well, it's a new thing. So a lot of money haven't got into it yet, right? Imagine like all the sovereign wealth funds, which means that it's like the retirement funds of the country. They won't be getting 10% into it, you know, on the first day. So they would slowly get into it. I think they are exploring it now. I think a lot of traditional managers are curious about the space because it have done so well. But I mean, to get in now is still not too late. So there's still a lot of opportunities. And back to your question, you were asking about.
Will cryptocurrency be the future of money?
Future of money. So think about it, right? Like the transaction costs, the transaction speed. If I wanted to send money, you know, tomorrow to US, it's not going to arrive instantly. Let's be honest. It's going to take a few days. Like there's going to be at least 2 banks involved, if not 3, 4 banks, because there's going to be layers. There's going to be intermediary banks, and these banks will charge a fee as well. But if you send it in crypto, it's peer-to-peer from wallet to wallet directly. The gas fees can be a lot lower depending on what crypto you use. It's very secure. It can arrive within the next 5 minutes. So I mean, it's for everybody to judge, like whether that's a future of money. Like I can't say for sure because no one knows for sure. But I do think that it is quite tempting in a lot of ways. Like for example, right, like sending money outside of some countries could be restricted, but crypto, it's very hard to enforce. So and it's also permissionless, so meaning you don't need other people's permission. Yeah, that's also one attraction is the freedom for the money to flow. So you know that opens up a lot of doors, and it also means that you know it's really a decentralized world. You can't stop Bitcoin, right? No one can stop it because it's decentralized. There's no one contact point. You don't take down, you know, a company and then the operation stops. It just doesn't work that way because it's distributed across all the computers, like globally.
Okay, thank you, Nancy. Actually, there are quite a few questions that we have covered with when we're talking about Crypto 101 and Women in Crypto, but we do have one more here. How do you see the level of risk of various DeFi tools? For example, when you are managing the portfolio for the clients, do you have any rules of thumb regarding the proportion of it being invested in liquidity, pool, example by means of staking or play to earn? Simply holding and flipping hyped NFTs?
Well, I think that actually depends on the risk appetite of the fund. So you see some funds that just wants to do staking, putting it in liquidity pool. It's meant to be a very stable fund by generating fixed income yields, as they call it. We see funds that generate 30% yield or even more just from doing that. I mean, that's very doable. We have a lot of funds that do that, as a matter of fact. And then for funds that do a bit of the flipping, there probably will be as well. But that usually wouldn't be 100% of their portfolio. It could be a portion of it. That's more like the upside. You know, if they lose everything, that's fine. But if they gain something, they expect it to be maybe 10x, 20x, 50x. So it depends on the portfolio manager's risk appetite. And very importantly, the investor's appetite, right? Who's giving you the money to manage? Is your style coherent with what they're expecting? So that actually depends on the individual.
All right, thank you, Natalie. That's about it for the Q&A section, because you ladies have covered most of the questions that our audience would like to ask, and also some of the questions that I would like to ask. Well, we have been talking for about an hour, 40 minutes. Shall we move on to the networking lounge? To our audience, your networking lounge is on the top left corner. if you look at your browser, if you're using an iPad or if you're on a computer. If not, if you're on a mobile phone, on your top left-hand corner, there is a 3-line that looks like a hamburger. That's a menu button. Click on it and you should see Networking Lounge. Our speakers will be moving over to the Networking Lounge within the next 2 minutes. So let's see everybody there. And thank you, Natalie. Thank you, Yvette. And thank you, Jessica, for being host today. We had a great time. So let's move on and speak with our audience offline. Actually, not offline, but into the separate rooms. For those who missed this, friends of the audience and friends of the speakers, the replay link will be ready and sent to you via email later tonight. And then highlight will be sent out on social media within the day or two. Thank you again for accepting our invitation as a speaker. We had a great time, and we shall be doing this again really soon. If I remember right, I have planned and other webinar, actually a much bigger one. Naturally, could be involved in it too. It's coming in May, May or June, depends on the scale. So hopefully we'll see everyone again. Once again, thank you. So let's see everybody at the Networking Lounge. Thank you, ladies.
See you there.
Thank you.
I see you there.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.